Hey gang, welcome back to another video. Now it's well documented on this channel that I enjoy making things look old. In fact, it might be my favorite part of prop making. So in this video I thought I'd share 3 of my favorite techniques for creating worn and chipped metal paint effects. And the best part? All of them can be done with things you've already got around the house. So let's get into it. To demonstrate these techniques, I have 3 different parts that were 3D printed, lightly sanded where necessary, coated in automotive filler primer to minimize any layer lines, and then a matte black base coat. But since all of these will have a different metal effect applied to them, I'll need to start with a simple rattle can chrome. A quick word of advice when using chrome spray paint. In my experience, they have a tendency to take longer to dry and are very susceptible to fingerprints, so I'd only suggest them if you've got time to wait or don't have access to an airbrush or a spray gun. Once all of the parts have good coverage, I'll shift the 2 smaller parts to the side and can focus on this large heatsink. This piece will primarily be painted in an off-white color, but it's going into a sci-fi themed space, and so I took this opportunity to demonstrate my favorite chipped paint effect, which starts with a bit of liquid latex. To make application and cleanup easier, I took a small amount of liquid latex and added it to this applicator bottle, and can get to drawing on where I want my paint to look as if it's chipped off. This method creates a mask for the underlying metallic paint, and once it's dry, can be painted over. Once that top layer of paint is dry, then the latex can be peeled away to expose the metal paint finish below. It's a pretty common technique for adding battle damage to prop helmets and armor, but it also works for static objects like this heatsink from inside of the Millennium Falcon. If you didn't have any liquid latex available, you could also use toothpaste and a small brush to apply a thin coat over the metallic, which can then be washed away with a bit of water after the top layer of paint had dried. Should you choose to use that method, you'll want to check to make sure that the toothpaste you use doesn't tarnish or discolor the metallic paint before starting on your finished piece. This process of applying liquid latex takes a bit of time, plus you need to wait for the latex to dry before spraying on the top coat, so I'll set this aside and will shift my attention to the next part and technique. My second favorite metal paint effect uses something we all have around the house: salt. To mask the metallic paint on this piece, I'll start by lightly wetting the surface with a bit of water before applying salt all over the prop. The water helps to give the salt something to stick to, which eventually will keep it from blowing away once we start applying the next layer of paint, so a little goes a long way. For this video I'm using coarse sea salt, but ideally a mix of coarse and standard table salt would provide the best results. The larger grains of coarse salt don't create enough variety on their own and can leave somewhat of a pattern in your finish. When I've got good coverage of salt, I'll grab a matte black and a medium gray spray paint and will dust the surface of the print. I'm trying to create a mottled finish for this piece, and alternating between the 2 provides the look I'm after. And when it looks like the paint is dried, I'll grab a stiff bristled brush and can start to flake off the salt crystals to expose the metallic paint below. You can really see what I mean about the larger bits of salt and the patterns they create. Thankfully, this is all fixable. To tone down the overall appearance, I'll dust it with the matte black and gray spray paints again to minimize the high contrast of it. And when the paint is dry, I'll add in a bit of lamp black oil paint with a brush and then wipe it away with a rag to help sell that greasy mechanical part look. When I'm done with the oil paints, I'll hit some of the high spots with some pewter rub and buff to give the edges and details a highlight, And lastly, I'll give it a dusting of the original metallic paint to tie it all together. Now, it's not quite how I'd intended at the onset, but sometimes things happen while you're painting and you have to go on a bit of a side quest to get things back on track. This part will get set aside to completely dry, and then I can turn my attention to the third piece and technique. For this final piece, I'm looking for more of a sun-bleached, worn look. So I'm going to start by applying a raw umber paint to all of the openings of the piece with my airbrush. I'm not too concerned about being tidy or accurate with this application, because it's going to get covered up. So I just add paint until it feels right, and then I can let it dry. After a few minutes and the help of a blow dryer, I'm going to apply a layer of hairspray to the entire part. This will act as my masking for this technique. Because the hairspray is water soluble, I can paint over it, in this case with a light gray color, and after the paint is dry, I can reactivate it with a bit of water and can scrub at it with a paintbrush to expose the metal finish and raw umber weathering below. This is probably my favorite of all the techniques in this video, and if you want to see another use of it that's much more dramatic, be sure to check out my Skeleton Crew Gatekeeper Droid video, and I'll leave a link to it in the video description. With that piece out of the way, and the liquid latex masking from the first piece dry to the touch, I can circle back to where I started. Now before we can see the effect, this piece needs to get painted with a top coat color. In my case, it'll be a creamy white. And when the paint is dry, I can start picking away at the lumps of liquid latex on the surface of the prop to expose the metallic finish underneath. Now I was a little impatient and didn't give the metallic paint sufficient time to dry, so some of the metallic is pulling away with the latex to expose the matte black below. But thankfully in this situation it works, since it almost creates the look of multiple layers of chipped paint rather than just the one. I'll make my way around all of the edges of the prop until I've removed all the liquid latex masking, and then I can take a step back and see how it looks. I'm definitely going to do a bit of weathering to this piece before it goes off to its new home, but as far as the chipping goes, I'm happy with how it looks. Not too much, no obvious patterns in the application, and the surprise black paint layer really sells the effect, so it's an all-around win. And here are all three techniques together. As you can see, each one has its own specific look, and while they're not matching, they definitely feel like they'd go together. The variety of textures and finishes give each piece a bit of interest and definitely mask the fact that these are just pieces of plastic. Now these techniques can be used on a variety of themes, not just sci-fi, to make everyday objects look like they've been around for ages. Plus, they don't require any expensive or specialized materials, which is always a bonus. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, go make something.